Hello, welcome to Dungeoneers Pack, a channel bringing you player-focused discussions and character guides for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Josh, thank you for watching. Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft has us traveling through the mist to try to survive in the demi-planes of dread. This latest setting book brings the College of Spirits Bard into print, allowing players to contact the spirits to guide them on their adventures. In this video, I will be taking a look at the key features for the College of Spirits Bard, discuss the theme of the subclass, provide some ways you can reflavor the subclass, and give you some character ideas using the College of Spirits Bard for each of the official 5th edition settings. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention that I'm now doing weekly live streams. Every Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time, I will be doing a live stream talking about the latest news in Dungeons & Dragons, playing D&D inspired video games, or collaborating with you on homebrew to take into your games. Again, you can join me every Friday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time. With that said, let's get started. The key features for the subclass envelop a player in the spirit medium fantasy. Both features are picked up at level 3 when we choose this subclass. The first feature is Spiritual Focus. Spiritual Focus gives Bard players a flavorful spellcasting focus that can take the shape of items that are iconic to spirit mediums and fortune tellers. This special focus can take the form of a candle, a crystal ball, a skull, a spirit board, or the tarot-like Taroka deck. Whatever form you choose, the Spiritual Focus functions like any other spellcasting focus. It replaces the need for material components when casting a spell unless a spell being cast needs a material component with a monetary value. When we reach level 6, whenever we cast a damage or healing spell through our Spiritual Focus, we add an additional 1d6 to those spells. Taking a look back at this feature's original debut in Unearthed Arcana, the only significant difference is that the Spirit Board option was slightly changed. It originally was referred to as a talking board, which raised concerns with players as there was an assumption that the talking board would also be able to take over the verbal component requirements for spells. This change just clarifies the intention of the feature, keeping it in line with other spellcasting focuses. Another thing to keep in mind is with the level 6 upgrade. It does not specify the spell being cast requires a spell slot to gain the 1d6 bonus. This means it could apply to our cantrips. Unfortunately, none of the cantrips on the Bard spell list will benefit from this feature, as none of the ones that deal damage use a material component. So keep in mind, any spell you cast, whether it's a cantrip or uses a spell slot, will get the additional 1d6 unless it requires a material component. The next key feature lets us call a spirit to guide us, but we don't have control of which spirit will visit us. With Tales from Beyond, as long as we are holding our spiritual focus, we use a bonus action to expend and roll a bardic inspiration die. The result from the roll determines which spirit tale we hear from the Spirit Tales table, and we retain that tale until we bestow the tale's effect or finish a short or long rest. As an action, we can choose whether we or another creature becomes the target of the tale's effect and can't use that effect again until we roll it again on the Spirit Tales table. We can only retain one tale at a time, and rolling on the Spirit Tales table again ends the effect of the previous tale. The DC for any tale that requires a saving throw is equal to our spell save DC. There are a whopping 12 tales on this table, and we only gain access to additional options when our bardic inspiration die grows. When comparing this feature to its playtest version seen in Unearthed Arcana, this was the ability that was changed the most. The changes did not alter how this feature functions, but instead all the changes were to the effects on the table. Each tale had its name changed, and many of them were rebalanced or their language was changed to have better clarity. 7 of the 12 tales do damage, with some of the options also dealing status conditions, but for the most part, they provide some spell-like damage options which the Bard doesn't always have access to. The remaining 5 tales offer some utility, with 3 of them being usable in or out of combat, while the last 2 offer some form of healing. Overall, the tales are geared towards combat, but getting any of the tales relies on chance. This could frustrate players who want an ability that is consistent. Luckily, when we reach level 14, we gain the Mystical Connection feature, which minimizes the variance by allowing us to roll 2 bardic inspiration die and choose one tale from the results of the die rolls. Thematically, the College of Spirits Bard is similar to other subclasses that stand in between the realms of life and death. When playing this subclass, consider your character's connection to the afterlife. We can draw inspiration from spirit mediums from fiction or in the real world. Our character is the bridge that connects the spirits to the land of the living. How our character approaches communicating with the spirits will determine their relationship with the living as well. In the real world, mediums are often seen as frauds and con artists. We can take this angle with our character if we use the charlatan background. The character's con could be tricking those into believing they could speak with the spirits of their loved ones. As fate would have it, the character eventually gains the ability to speak to the spirits. Unable to control their new ability, they could be seeking ways to rid themselves of this power. Another option we can play that stems from the real world are how psychics are viewed as entertainers. Using the entertainer background, we can play a spirit medium that has captivated the masses, building a reputation for their ability to connect families with loved ones who have passed on. Reflavoring this subclass doesn't necessarily ignore every aspect of the character fantasy presented in this subclass. These ideas just bring certain aspects to the forefront. As this subclass deals with communicating with spirits, it could be a solid choice to play a spiritual leader or a shaman. Since charisma would be our primary ability score, we can use that to play into the idea of being a leader of a clan or village. The character could offer guidance or encouragement to those who need it and offer peace for those in pain. They are capable of communicating with the spirits of their ancestors to help guide them. I would consider taking the Acolyte background and the Magic Initiate feat choosing Druid to help take on the aspects of being connected to the spirits of nature, the living, and the dead. We can also take inspiration from ghost hunting shows and movies and play a paranormal investigator. Our character specializes in exorcising malevolent spirits. We could support this idea by using the investigator background or taking the investigation, arcana, or religion skills. The last idea steps away from the fantasy of the subclass and is a full flavor change. For those that want to play a character inspired by Yu-Gi-Oh!, the College of Spirits Bard is perfect for playing a character that can cast spells through cards. Our spiritual focus could be our deck of cards, and the spells we cast or the effects from the Spirit's Tales table could be cards we drew and played from the deck. A way to support the flavor of this idea will be to gain proficiency with a playing card set. Now let's take a look at some character ideas for the subclass for each of the official 5th edition settings. In Forgotten Realms, we can play a charlatan who cons others with fake seances until one day they receive a trinket that lets them communicate with the dead. In Eberron, we can be a Pterodactyl elf who is destined to become a keeper of the past who ventures out into the world before accepting their destiny. In Ravenloft, we can play a traveling tarot reader who survives the planes of dread by entertaining the dark powers and luring unsuspecting travelers to a gruesome fate. In Ravnica, we could be a member of the Gruul clans who follows the old ways and summons the animal spirits to guide them. And finally in Theros, we can be a follower of the god Athreos, guiding lost souls back to the underworld. My opinion hasn't changed since the College of Spirits Bard first made its appearance in Unearthed Arcana. It really nails down the spirit medium or fortune teller character fantasy. Spiritual Focus is a great flavorful ability, but once we hit level 6 for the 1d6 upgrade, it doesn't apply to some of our most used bard spells due to the rules of arcane focuses. This could have been an oversight by wizards and could easily be house ruled at your tables, as it appears the intention for this ability was to add it to any of your damage spells. Comparing the Spirit Tales table to its UA version, there are still a lot of options. You unlock access to options on the table when your Bardic Inspiration die grows in size. A majority of the options are combat oriented and feel like variants of different spells. This class may not be for everyone, as its main mechanic entirely depends on chance and can be a disappointment for those that aim for consistency. The level 14 feature adds some control over the potential options, but doesn't remove variance completely. I personally lean towards consistency, but even then I see myself playing this subclass and embracing the roll of the die. With that said, I want to hear from you. What do you think of the College of Spirits Bard? Let me know down in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, I drop a video every week, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I want to give a big shout out and thank you to FryMinis for providing the information for this subclass. Make sure to go check out his channel and show him some love. A link to his channel can be found in the description below. Alright, I'm out of here. Have a good one.